What is up, y'all? Shabbat Shalom. I am reporting from my back porch. This is my backyard. We're here for our Friday weekend reading. It's an extended discussion on today's Instagram post. If you don't follow me already, you can find me at Liz_Taylor_Magick on Instagram, or Light Love Magic on Instagram, like the channel. And I post on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, our readings for our anchor message, our alchemy message, and our weekend message. And then we come here later and talk about them in more detail in the videos. So for the weekend, this is sort of a plot point moment where, things have been changing within us, and we have been observing like our new self coming into being. The nodes have shifted this week for the moon. So the north node has shifted into Aries, the south node into Libra. So you can go back and watch a lot of the videos from this week and get more detail about what that means. We've talked about it a few times, and especially in the new moon workshop, the astrology notes are in the beginning of the video. But basically what is going on is that over the last couple of, the last year and a half, the north node was in Taurus. That's what we're working on. That's what we're moving towards for the future, is the north node. And the south node is what we're moving away from, or what we're using to transform forward. It's what we're healing from the past, or past lives even. It's the karma correction. So we don't want to stay stuck there. And so over the last year and a half, the north node was in Taurus and the south node was in Scorpio, which caused us to have a sudden urge to change the way that we approach our security and really establish security for ourselves in a new way and on a new level. So you may have gone through a lot of practical material changes and literal changes in the last year and a half, just preparing the groundwork for the ability to start the self-realization and have a new life to live, have the groundwork to build a new life on. So right now, the moon's nodes have shifted for the next year and a half. The north node into Aries, and the south node into Libra. And so we're having this new sense of self that's becoming birthed right now. And we are going through these stages of awakening. And so we're kind of observing this new self coming into being, and we are figuring out who are we going to be now? And how are we showing up in the world? And how are we going to show up differently? And what are we wanting to do? What do we want to make in this life? And because we are showing up as this new self, we have this chance to overcome our past patterning and our default settings. And so because of that, it's like the Libra, our lessons in Libra that are shifting for us are that we are, sorry, y'all, got ants in my pants. Eek. The lessons are that we are showing up differently in our relationships, with our intimate relationships and with general relationships with life and with others. But I would say particularly where love is concerned, our relationship to source, our relationship to earning our bread, our relationship to abundance and money, but particularly our close love relationships, romance, close-knit, intimate groups and family. So yeah, the way that we relate to people and life is going to be different. So yeah, we're going to have, a new sense of self going forward over the next year and a half. And so that's sort of been initiated over the last week. So there was always going to be turbulence up in the air this week. And if we were lucky, we, listened to the new moon workshop advice that there was going to be a lot of upheaval. And if we could, to keep our head down and not make any sudden changes or do any drastic moves. Because this week was going to be so tumultuous with that Cancer moon and those sensitive feelings and all the emotions coming up and our subconscious patterns coming up and realizations and root work and healing and lots of feelings. So, people had the conditions were ripe for sudden things to shift and change, or for people to be reactive. and maybe to, go into their default setting or short circuit. So if we could maintain our steadiness, or if we can regroup and regain our steadiness, that would be good for the moment. Our Radiant Sun Oracle cards for the weekend were Enthusiasm, which is the sun in Sagittarius, followed by Indecision, which is Venus in Libra, and Ostentation, which is Saturn in Taurus. Underneath Enthusiasm, we have 8 of Cups. Underneath Indecision, we got the Death card. And underneath Ostentation, we got 3 of Pentacles. And at the bottom of it all, we got the World card, and I am choosing to read the World card sideways. A little bit up and upright, a little bit reverse, because it flipped out, fell on the floor, and I picked it up sideways. And that told me that it was a cautionary tale, but that to sort of take both sides of it. So the World. Okay, so the Enthusiasm card talks about like that sense of, like, especially coupled with the 8 of Cups, like right now we have this urge to go forward boldly and like take on, our dreams and take the world by storm. And we're feeling really enthusiastic and inspired and motivated to do that right now. It's just that we don't know quite how to channel our energy and what to do, or how to do it, or how to go about it. It's just like, I want to do something, and I don't know what, or like I know I want what I want to do, but I don't know where to begin. And so there's this deep feeling of wanting this sense of purpose and direction, and wanting to move towards deeper meaning, and being in alignment with that calling that's been pulling us. The string card came up in the archetypes reading earlier in the week, and the string talked about the pull of our divine calling and purpose. So that is like this feeling within us that's like, oh, okay, I want deep spiritual meaning in my life, and I want connection, and I want guidance, and I want assistance, and I want to go in my divinely ordained, like, true path of fulfillment, and to fulfill my potential in this life. Just like, what next? What do I do next? And so that's what this Indecision card is coming up as. Another side note about this card is that the the Venus in Libra person can overly give or give in a situation in order to maintain harmony, because Libra people are so they can see both sides of everything. They have a very fair perspective. They're very caring, they're very harmonious, they're very loving, they're very empathic. And so they usually tend to try to maintain the harmony in situations and be a mediator. But that can cause them to be indecisive or seem indecisive, because they can kind of find like fulfillment in all sides of it, whereas they know other people have strong preferences and strong turnoffs. But the pitfall is that you lose the self in enmeshment if you do that. And so the challenge here is to overcome the dark side, the shadow side of that Libra element, to overgive the self away at the stake of the self completely, and you lose the self, you abandon the self, and you're able to have healthy boundaries and have equal give and take. And so you can take up space in the world alongside someone else. Like, many times there's room for everyone to be in the situation. And Libra knows that. It's just that sometimes others don't, and they freak out and they see things as like all or nothing, when sometimes there's a lot of like gray areas or ways to find balance and temperance in between. So the enthusiasm, the desire for something more, something greater, a greater purpose, or a call in a certain direction that you're excited to go in, but you don't know quite what or how. So that kind of overwhelm can cause indecision. And so death has come, and sudden change is coming, and transformation. This is death and rebirth, the death of indecision. The Grim Reaper is going to slice through indecision and slice through the fear that keeps us in that state of indecision. The fear is the anxiety that we're going to make the wrong choice. And, oh, what if we suffer the consequences? But many times that's what the Creator is asking of us. The Creator is asking us to have the sovereignty and the backbone, to have the courage and the wholeheartedness to make a choice and own it and take responsibility for it, and come hell or high water, give yourself and lend yourself into it, and then, accept that the chips will fall where they may. So yes, what will cut through the anxiety, the overwhelm, the indecision is just taking inspired action, one little step at a time. Today I had an idea to do something small, that I just followed that little small ping, that little hunch, like, oh, this is a good thing to do for my brand or whatever. And I got it done really quickly. And then like for the follow-up, like I had a whole plan to like do the next thing. And so it was like, instead of being in indecision about it, I just like took action and went for it instead of like holding myself back. So again, there's something like an emotional, and a spiritual and a physical, mental, death and rebirth going on, a reboot and a new way to perceive life and a new way to approach life. But during the initiation process, we're going to be just presented with challenges and obstacles that we need to face and overcome. Ostentation is coming up, and this is Saturn in Taurus. Now, this is all about like pleasure and abundance, and this is like Venus living it up, and under the sea. And this is the version of Venus like kind of living it up, but as the practical Taurus, taking the step by steps to get there, to like make their way. And so that like Taurus energy combined with the Saturn energy can be really great at making great opportunities, and expanding them, and like making great business opportunities and cashing in on great business opportunities, and approaching things and being good at executing those things. So, and this is coupled with 3 of Pentacles. So there's something about this right now. It's like you're very capable of making the most of the situation and diving down and creating security for yourself and even abundance. It's like you're being recognized for your value. People want to work with you or team up with you or pair with you because of this. It's just that you're in the beginning stages of it. And so just lean into this. Like, you've got the resources and you're collecting the resources. So use the resources you have without being too lavish. Be mindful, be good, shrewd, business minded. But yeah, take a chance, and you've got the wherewithal. You've got the resources to attempt to make something happen. So just keep moving forward, taking one little action step at a time, and don't get too far ahead of yourself. Because there's this element here of this World card turned sideways. The World card is about the embodiment of the wisdom, and all this power that's been built up by gaining wisdom through experience. It's like now it's time to integrate that and express it, or else that wisdom is like built up and it's light that doesn't get expressed, and then it creates chaos. And so there is this element of the world where it's like, okay, you've come to the end of this like educational cycle that you've been on for a long time, and you've learned your lesson, and now you're kind of like free to go into a new direction, or in any direction you want to from here. But it's like about making that choice, and it's kind of being at a new turning point and a new crossroads. And so it's like, okay, the world is our oyster, but like, where do we go and what do we do with it? And like, how do we get there and how do we make it happen? And so it's like, just let source take care of the how and the why, and just trust with certainty that the path will sort of reveal itself as it comes. Now, the world reversed is like, you're like refusing to like try something different or new, or you're refusing to take action, or you're refusing to embody the wisdom that you've learned, or use it, or apply it, or like take the lesson that you've been learning. So it's like you're sleeping on an opportunity or something, or don't sleep on the opportunity. Really like use your resources to your advantage right now, and Like, let yourself be divinely guided rather than forcing something or taking panicked action. Because if you take action from a place of scarcity or controlling, or like from purely mental space, then it may or may not be that fruitful. But if you are getting yourself in alignment and you're really clear on your intention, then you're really certain and you're really at peace. You're not going to be grasping at straws, and you're not going to feel urgency or scarcity or that's going to make you want to act now, right? You want to be able to act because you had an inspiration and it set really well, and it feels expansive and it feels good, and it's taking you in a positive direction, and you feel good about taking action on it, even from a place of not feeling in a rush. When something feels like anxious, contracting, urgent, like now, I've got to do this now or else, or oh, it's so complicated. Like usually that's the opponent, the adversary, trying to, lure you and trigger your ego. So you want to be coming from a state of cause consciousness right now. And those who are certain of the outcome can afford to wait and wait patiently without suffering. And so certainty in the outcome is knowing that the Creator is going to align you with what's in your highest good and what's set aside for you, specifically, uniquely. And what is yours will always be yours and will never be taken from you. And what is not yours will never be right, and it won't work out no matter how much you try to force it. So certainty is like kind of like taking your hands off of the rope or the steering wheel or whatever, and letting the divine take it and being there with it, as a co-creator, as a co-pilot, but ultimately knowing that this is not like you're not in this alone, and to really utilize that divine guidance and just know that source is the real fulfillment under any vessel. Really, no matter if it's a person or a job or an experience, it's like source is the money, not the job. Source is your PR person, not your PR person, not the social media algorithm. Source is your salesperson. Source goes before you everywhere. Source is your opportunity provider. Source is your landlord. Source is your mortgage provider. You know what I mean? Like, not the bank, not the job. Source is your lover. Source is your family. Source is your father. Source is your mother, right? Not your physical mother, not your physical father, not your physical lover. Source is your best friend, right? That way, all of these flesh people are off the hook, and we see that what's really within them that we get the fulfillment from is source coming through them, being channeled through them the way that we need or require in that moment. So have peace. May peace be with you, and according to your faith, let it be done unto you. All right, y'all. I hope you have a good weekend. Shabbat shalom. And I can't promise a Saturday video because sometimes I have a social life on Saturdays. It's the truth. But if I can, I will be back with Secret Teachings of Jesus. I will be doing errands and things before work tomorrow, so I know I won't have time to film it in the afternoon. But I hope to see you tomorrow night if all falls into place. Otherwise, I will catch y'all on the next one. All right, ciao.